Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. So we're just going to dive right into this one. So for this message, I had a little bit of a strange energy that came towards me. Typically when I do these channelings, I have either a collective of guides, a collective of ancestors, or very occasionally some range of angelic sort of energy. For this one, this is a little bit different. I have coming forward towards me presenting this message was I don't know how else to call it other than cosmic guides. They feel very much like protective energies that come from someplace else, that are almost guarding or protecting from the sidelines a group of people. So this is kind of an interesting message because the first thing that they showed me when I opened up was a sun, and it was burning on a horizon with like the waves of air that you see with the temperature fluctuations, especially with the heat rising. And it kind of made me think of a mirage, and I understood as I stepped into that energy that it was because from my grid this narrative doesn't work, right? But this is a different group of people who are on a different grid where this narrative still applies. And so that's why this message may seem a little bit different from me. This message is essentially for a collective of people who are currently aware that they're surrounded by spirits or beings, particularly interdimensional beings. These beings seem to be showing great interest in the plans that you currently have, or the things that you're trying to manifest, or the ideas that you're generating. I'm having this sort of distortion, and the distortion feels like voices. And those voices and the distortion feel like a frequency that is intended to disrupt this collective's plans, okay? And keep in mind, my readings are not telling people things that they don't know. They're meant for confirmation, okay? And so at the end, there's a message that maybe you don't know, and you may be asking like why this is happening, and this is what it's going to tell you. But this part right here, what I'm saying right now, this is confirmation for somebody. And so if you're not experiencing this and you don't know about this, and this isn't your message, now there's some of you who are experiencing this who the rest of the message doesn't necessarily apply for. And so I am going to give some symbols here in a second. But this message, again, it's coming through as a confirmation for someone about this inner knowing that they have, or these experiences that they're currently having with these sorts of beings that are surrounding them. This message is that it's important for you to keep silent about your plans and your manifestations, and to make sure that you protect your focus. What this voice and this distortion feels like is it feels like something interjecting a different program that is trying to cut us off from a place that we're trying to get, or from some sort of insight or growth that we're trying to achieve. So don't let your circumstances or obstacles that suddenly come out of nowhere knock you off your desired path. We as people, we get very pulled away, right? It's human nature. We get very sidetracked. We get very pulled away. For some of you, this is going to come in a very enticing form. It might be a love interest, for example, which it's not to say don't go after the person. It's not to say, you know, don't allow these things. It's to say make sure that your focus first and foremost is on the thing that you plan to do, right? Protect that. So I'm going to give you some symbols now, and these symbols are kind of important for this next part. So the symbols are pomegranate, the state of Alaska. It might not even be the state of Alaska. It might be like a mug that says Alaska. I don't know. It's Alaska. Elk, Dalmatian, cardinal, LED candles, the tattoo of praying hands, geese flying, specifically geese flying, making a lot of noise at the time that you're watching this video, iris flowers, and a bookmark with golden tassels. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so as I was writing those symbols, they were showing me steps going up to a door, and all around the door I could see like this bright light. It was this very beautiful bright golden light, and I knew immediately that this light represented, this was symbolic of essentially entering a new way of being due to some sort of knowledge or some sort of intrinsic change that we undertake. It's 444 as I say that. these beings are trying to keep you away from whatever this knowledge or this change is. And the reason why is because if you step through that door, if you make that change, if you gather that piece of knowledge, it will move you off this grid where this narrative even exists, onto a grid where it no longer is possible to exist. So, some of you may read comments on certain readers' channels, like for example, a lot of people comment this on mine about how we don't fearmonger, right? It's not that we're not necessarily speaking the truth or talking about darker things in life. It's that we don't necessarily get messages like, you have to be afraid of this, you have to be afraid of that, oh, those people, you know what I mean? We don't necessarily get that a lot. And the reason why is because those things, those energies don't even matter on the grids that we're on. And this is what they're trying to bring you to, what your cosmic guides are trying to support you to reach, which is why they're bringing this message forward. But you have these other beings whose power still is powerful on your grid, and you have a power in your own right to not be influenced by these beings if you maintain your own focus. Remember, focus is willpower, right? And your willpower is what creates things. And so whoever this message is for, you are coming to a place where you're going to start understanding the willpower. This change, this move, whatever it is that's happening through this door, this is leading you to an empowered state where these types of storylines are no longer part of the reality that you exist in. And so this is like a graduation on a soul level. It's very important to these types of meddling beings to keep us in a grid, an energy grid, right? Or a reality where these storylines are true and these storylines exist and these storylines affect us. And the reason why is because that's how we have spiritual slavery, right? This is where we're easily controlled, easily manipulated. Whoever this message is for, you're being removed from that. And so this is very important that you maintain your focus. Don't allow your heart to throw you off. Don't, bite, you know what I mean? Sometimes the biggest distraction that I see people go through is when it's like, this person who speaks to all their like lustful senses, or to, all that wounding that they have, and like checks all the boxes to fulfill aspects that they haven't fulfilled themselves. And then it turns super toxic, or it turns super codependent. And then the next thing you know, they're not working on that book. They're not, working on their practices. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And so many of us fall into that, right? Be careful of the things that look shiny in this period, because it's a much easier way to throw somebody off than, say, getting them fired from their job, right? Sometimes when we throw obstacles in people's paths, that just makes them more, hey, I'm going to do this. And so it's much easier if you can do something that will affect them and affect their core wounding. So just be careful of things like that. These are things to keep an eye on. If you notice anything like that, it's just time to double down and to like keep your focus. So let's go ahead, let's pull a couple of cards here. Okay, I'm hearing to pull 2 cards. Nope. Okay. And I'm hearing that one too. Okay. Okay. So we have these 2 cards here, and these 2, I'm not reading the meanings on them. We're reading the symbols here. This one is the one that I'm being told I have to read the meaning on. And so I just want to hold these 2 cards up to you. I want you to notice those doorways here, right? There's a left doorway and a right doorway. And what this is speaking to me about is that one is ruled by our emotions, and one is, we have this like person that's through here, and they have their arms open. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I feel that for some of you, they're going to try to use your emotions to derail you. Right? As human beings, until we learn to kind of ride our emotions, we get pulled around by them. I hesitate to even say master our emotions, because that implies that we won't feel things. And while we can certainly master them to a certain degree, we're not really going for mastering our emotions. We're going for emotional maturity, which is evidenced by our ability to experience the emotions and not get pulled around and tossed around by them, right? Here, what we have is we have the side of emotions, and then the doorway of being free. And this is the doorway that we need to focus on. We need to focus on the things that truly light us up, right? What it is you think you're supposed to be doing, what it is that you're choosing to do, what it is that you're trying to manifest for yourself. Keep silent about these things. guard them close to your heart and protect them, especially if you start noticing that life is trying to derail you with fancy things or like shiny people or opportunities that I don't want to say seem too good to be true. I'm not saying that, but just use your discernment. Practice discernment in this time. Here we have this, right? So again, we have this very bright sort of shiny path, and then we have this path over here where there may be some elements of the distraction being things that make you feel comfortable, right? Things that you've always known. And for some of you, the advice is to just let your freak flag fly, is what I heard, except I heard it in the voice of a girl I used to know. She was so funny. Yeah, so it's stepping out on your own, not being afraid to take that risk and to be different, right? Experiencing your own authenticity and setting yourself apart, not for the sake of being different, but for the sake of being who you truly are. If you can do those two things, right, to pick your own path and to be brave about it, to be courageous about it, and to not allow the distractions of life to pull you off that journey, you will reach this door right here. What we have, so this is the one that they told me to read what it means. It's inner temple devotion, tune into the portal of your heart. Now, when we talk about tuning into the portal of our heart, we're not talking about those passing emotions, right? We're talking about who it is that we actually are on the inside. This collective seems to be programmed with almost like this Polaris, this guiding star. We have, and you know, in reality, I believe we all are. This, however, is a little bit stronger. We have to pull back those layers, and we have to allow ourselves to remove those layers of, you know, emotions, right? Where everything's terrible today. I don't want to do anything, and I don't believe in myself today because this happened. I had this like door shut, close on me, so now I'm not worthy of this. All those little emotions that we have that kind of self-sabotage us. It's very important at this time to put those on mute and to remember that inside your heart space, inside who you truly are, there is a truth and there's a direction that you're heading towards. Don't allow this other stuff to kind of get in your way. I'm almost seeing these pillars as being these other beings. And the reason why I'm saying that is because these beings feel extremely ancient. Okay, yeah, just that's kind of all I want to say about it. They feel extremely ancient. They feel like they've been here a very, very long time. And whoever these cosmic guides are in this collective, they're kind of coming forward with a very protective energy. And so this doorway, this change that you're about to make is extremely, extremely important for your evolution, for your soul's journey. And, you know, as you guys hopefully realize that the actions and the evolution of one person has a great effect on the collective. And so it's very important that you reach whatever this door is, right? And it's not to say that after this time period, it's going to be immediate. For some of you, it's going to take a little while, but the point is that you keep moving in that direction rather than allowing yourself to be derailed and put on a different course. Again, this is a little bit of a different narrative than I normally share because this narrative doesn't necessarily exist on the grid where I'm typically pulling my channeled messages. However, in this one, it does still exist. And so, you know, I wish you guys the best of luck with this. And, you know, you guys have all that it takes to really pull through this and to do it and to get yourself to a place where you don't even have to worry about stuff like this anymore, right? So when you can reach that point, it gets a little easier. It gets a little easier. So that's all I want to say about it. It gets a little easier. So yeah, if this resonates for you, please hit that like button. Feel free to leave me a comment. And until next time.